Welcome back to another exciting episode of Dead Ball Dancing. I hit Justin with a little teaser as we went into into the video there. I played the Dead Ball Dancing intro for the football show a couple weeks ago, so I forgot to switch it over.
Yeah,
And I thought Sean was going to have a stroke, man. He was
did
very
he freak out?
confused.
Did he
I don't
freak
know if he
out?
thought he was on the wrong show or what, but
He's like, I'm not the basketball guy, I'm the football guy.
man, you know
But
what
yeah,
though? I'm like, all right, crossover episode right now. Which basketball team is the Dallas Cowboys? And wow, it was Kansas.
ouch. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree. How are you, buddy? You good?
Good, man, good. I'm excited for some more basketball. Obviously, there was a game yesterday. I don't think anyone watched it. It's not important to talk about, but there's more basketball today.
Yeah.
But Sean, before I had that video tidbit there, Justin, I actually had a quick aside. If you will allow me for 30 seconds to talk about women's basketball.
Please go ahead. Crossover episode. You just alluded to it, so take us away, man.
Yeah, we don't do it often, but
Okay.
I wanted to express my frustration and hatred for lady team name. It drives me crazy. Just be the team. Just be the team.
Right. Like the Lady Volunteers or like the Lady Huskies.
Two exceptions. And Lady Volunteers is one of them.
You like the Lady
Because
Volunteers.
they own it. And that logo with the script in the blue
Fire.
is so sick.
Yeah, that's fine.
The other one is the Central Arkansas Sugar Bears, because I just really kind of like that. I think it's different enough. It's not Lady Bears. The men's team is the Bears, and Central Arkansas's women's team is the Sugar Bears. And I always appreciate that when I see it on a ticker or on a scoreboard, because I feel like it's different enough. But yeah, if you're like the Lady Trojans or the Lady Mavericks, let's get that shit out of here. You're not
and by the way,
differentiating yourself in a meaningful way.
I don't know if anyone's seen the logo for Central Arkansas Sugar Bears, but the colors are sick. The font is sick. Purple, gray, black. That is a sick logo, man. I'm liking that a lot.
And it's not like some passive, prissy ass female bear. It's a big, mean, nasty bear.
Yeah. That would be really disrespectful if they like changed the bear to be more feminine. Like we can't be doing that shit. So it's
I think Baylor does that. The Lady Bears logo has like eyeliner and like lashes.
No way.
I might be making that up completely.
Okay, I just want to really quickly. I just typed in Baylor Lady Bears and it pulled up the Baylor men's football team.
There's something to be said there.
No shit. Oh my god. Okay. Anyways, that's it.
We got a big show for you guys today. A lot of movement in our top 25. We kind of called it out last week and honestly the week before.
Right.
As we get more data in the season and some of these big games happen, we're gonna have a little bit of a shift in our rankings. So you'll see some teams here stayed the same, some teams kind of stayed in their grid positioning, and then some teams dropped way out and new ones came in. So continue to expect that probably through our next episode after Thanksgiving and all of the tournaments kind of play out. You stop seeing the violent swings because we kind of know what to expect from these teams. We're already projecting, Justin and I both, what we think is going to happen. We're anticipating matchups that are coming down the pipe. But Justin, this week, obviously, a really big shift in the rankings.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you and I, I'm just looking at our notes, kind of want to talk about a lot of the same things. But I think between you and I both, like consensus, the three most impressive teams, maybe four most impressive teams this week were definitely U of A. I'll get into them a little bit later. Michigan State, wow, they look really, really impressive. And then, I've shat on BYU quite a bit. I'm not going to go into BYU too much this week, but very impressive showing from BYU this week. I think you and I we were right on our game of the week pick. UConn did end up taking the game, but really, really impressive effort by BYU against UConn, only losing by 2 points. And wow, Debonsa is just an incredible talent who plays really, really hard basketball. And then a really good win, obviously, yesterday over a very, very tough Wisconsin team. So
They
kudos to
beat that
BYU.
ass. They
Yeah, tough.
beat that
Yeah,
ass like a
yeah,
drum, man. They made them play a whole different type of basketball. I moved BYU way up my rankings.
I did too.
Um,
Yeah,
I have my top 25 pretty much set, my top
yep,
50 pretty much set,
yeah, agreed.
waiting on the outcome of that game. And I
Yeah,
had 5 spot and the 16 spot open. I'm like, all
yeah,
right, well, whichever way this game goes, that's kind of where these belong.
yeah, agreed.
And I wish I had like a 4B spot for BYU, because the
Yeah,
way they dismantled the Wisconsin team we thought was really good on defense.
yeah.
BYU's impressive, man.
Yeah, and I'll just jump into my first topic then, if you don't mind, Rick. And that for me is the Big Ten beatdowns. It feels like it was a really interesting week and weekend for the Big Ten. You know, obviously starting with Wisconsin, that was very unlike them, right? Like, we've come to know Wisconsin as the gritty defensive team. That you know, their pedigree is they win games on defense. You know, last year we did see their offense have an absolute resurgent season, and even you so rightfully called out this year that this might be the first year where Wisconsin's offense is better than Wisconsin's defense. And unfortunately, I think that's true.
Yeah, I didn't think it was
But
going to happen like that.
I didn't either. You know, it's 25 fouls for Wisconsin is just too much. That is not Wisconsin basketball. And you rightfully called out that BYU made them play a different brand. And man, 25 fouls, and that's just, they made them feel really, really uncomfortable. And even on the opposite side, like, BYU's defense looked really impressive as well, because, you know, Wisconsin was putting up 80, 90 points a game early season against some decently tough opponents, and 37% from the field, 24 from three, and only 8 assists to 12 turnovers for Wisconsin. You know, just really kind of a very uncomfortable performance from them on offense. And my biggest problem, Rick, is Blackwell cannot score 14 points and Wisconsin expect to win. You know, we rightfully called out Blackwell improving year over year for this Wisconsin offense, and you know, we just can't have that type of performance out of Blackwell and expect them to win. And then I threw a funny tidbit. Obviously, you could see is Austin Rapp is out there with like a Tony Snell stat line.
It's
Like,
ridiculous.
I'm sorry, but like 27 minutes, 2 points, 0 assists, 0 rebounds, like, you can't just be out there wasting that type of minutes, because you can give another guy a chance off the bench, Rick, and potentially he would fill that spot a little bit better. So I was both a little disappointed with Wisconsin and obviously very impressed with BYU. And then obviously, you know, big elephant in the room. You asked last week, do we need to panic about Purdue? And after the Memphis win, I was like, yeah, Rick is right. Like, it's time to kind of push the panic button. And then they come out and absolutely drub a perennial top 25 team for us by 30, Texas Tech. And they did it in you know, impressive fashion, 60% from the field, 57 from three, and 38 points in the paint. I mean, so
Well, we know Purdue can score like that, right?
yeah,
I was
yeah,
way more impressed with the defense. They
I
held
know,
a Texas Tech team that can make it rain points to 56,
I
and
know, I know.
really, they played a better second half than a first half. They held them 26 points in the first half. I know,
Yeah,
I know more points given up on the back, but you know how college
right,
basketball is. I
of
was
course.
really impressed with the
Yeah,
defense after halftime. Purdue came out and slowed that game down
I know.
so much and just really hit their spots.
Yep,
And Texas Tech did not look like a good team, and we know that
at
they
all.
are.
Yeah,
And so both of those games, right? Purdue and BYU, these are wins over ranked teams, and I
yep.
think Wisconsin and Texas Tech still easily tournament teams.
Oh my
So
goodness. Yeah.
when we're talking about the end of the season, these are massive wins
Oh
for
yeah.
BYU and Purdue, because
Yep.
these are going to be quality ones. These are going to be quad one wins.
Yep.
And I mean, Purdue, if they can do this to a good team, to a shooting team, they are not going to run into the same kinds of issues that the rest of the Big Ten is going to run into when Big Ten season starts.
Right. Right.
I am very concerned about Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, and their poor fan bases, because these teams are going to have all that flex in the Big
Yeah.
Ten.
Yep.
And I don't want to go too deep into that, but I think a team like Purdue is showing that they're going to be immune to that weird Big Ten shit. They'll still drop like a Thursday morning game to Minnesota for no reason.
Right.
But I think all those teams kind of in the middle, like our back half tournament teams for the Big Ten, those are the teams that kind of get you in a weird spot and get nasty. But if Purdue can shut down completely a really good Texas Tech team, it doesn't matter what these other Big Ten teams do.
Right. And I think, just rounding it out, it's like the fashion they did it in, to your point. It's right. Like 15 fouls committed the entire game is insanely clean defense. In a college basketball world where you and I have discussed it's starting to get a little ticky-tacky, like the physicality that you and I have loved about the Big Ten and SEC and Big 12, starting to get a little questionable. 15 fouls committed is really good. And then you out-rebound a top 10 rebounding team last year in Texas Tech by 16. And to me, it's like those are the stats that jump out on the page to me, because if you keep those clean through a rigorous Big 10, you're going to be in pretty good shape come year end. So just want to start with the Big Ten.
Yeah, and they did it as a team. I mean, they
Yep.
did it as a team. I mean, there's nobody here. Well, yeah, 7 scorers in double digits for Purdue.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is tournament basketball. That is sustainable. You can have a guy go off and it'll carry you somewhere.
Yeah.
But if you have a whole team that can play well against elite level competition, you're in good shape. You're in good shape for March.
Agreed. What else you got?
I want to talk a little bit about Iowa State. One of the biggest divergences in yours and my rankings, I have them at 24. And the reason for that is because I don't think they can score enough to beat real teams.
Yep.
So my question to you is, it's November. It's fine. Rankings are rankings.
Yeah.
Do you think that this team is actually a top contender with this offense come March?
If you look at their stats from an offensive perspective, yes, but I'm actually going to double back a little bit and say that I'm actually a little bit high on them, Rick. I'm starting to fall into the trap that I did last year. I have them at 7. You have them at 24. Obviously, their pedigrees on the defensive side of the basketball, no matter how you spin it, they're top 20, top 25 in any defensive stat that you would look at. But what I'm concerned about is their best win is a horrid Mississippi State team where they put up 96. And I think we're going to figure out a little bit more about the offensive side of basketball for this team when they play St. John's, because even though you and I are pretty down on St. John's, again, sliding 4 spots from 19 to 23. Is that the math? That's the math. St. John's is a phenomenal defensive team that could shut down, with the exception of Alabama, obviously, most really good offensive teams. So we're going to learn a lot about how deep of a run they're going to make based on that game coming up on Monday. They've looked really good, no matter how you spin it. I mean, effective field goal percentage, they're 60th. Fast break points, they're 41st. Field goal percentage, they're 59th. So they look really good. But then again, they look really good against poor defensive teams. So right now, I'm going to say I don't know, Rick. I think we should round out this conversation and have another discussion next week after the game against St. John's, because if they go out and put up 96 against St. John's, I'm going to probably lean in a little bit heavier on them and say, the offense looks a little bit better than last year and they have a shot. What do you think?
I'm going to make a dead ball dancing promise to our viewers. April 10th, we will know what all these teams are.
Is that the more?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to change every week, right? We're going to keep adjusting these every week. We have no fucking clue. So yes, circle back and look, right? And the Big 12 is bad.
Yeah.
Pause, comma. And Iowa State is probably not the best team in the Big 12. I don't think either one of those statements is crazy.
No.
But we're splitting hairs because 24 is a 6 line. All right. Seven's a 2 line. I think that might be a stretch, but you can certainly make the argument, right? But it's not like if I'm saying Iowa State's awful, like Justin, why do you have them ranked so high? Like I have them as a 6 line in the tournament.
Yep.
So it's not like there's bad and then there's like Delta Valley, like Mississippi Delta Valley, like
right.
There's levels to this shit. Like if you can see them on your screen right now,
these
are good basketball teams.
Good basketball teams.
They're all in the tournament except for like one weird one that drops out. Like I guarantee you, one of these top 25 teams right now doesn't make the tournament. I couldn't tell you which one, but like one of them is just gonna probably St. John's.
Yeah. Well, I hope Gonzaga. So, question for you. Let's play out a scenario here. Tough schedule. Well, tough-ish schedule coming up for them, right? So, if they go 3-0 in the next three versus St. John's, Creighton, and Alcorn, which is a possibility, right? Drop one to Purdue, so then they're 3-1, and then beat which you and I are starting to agree about, Iowa, a pretty resurgent Iowa team this year that has really, really good defense. If they go 4-1 in their next five against a couple of really good defensive teams in St. John's and Iowa, that's not a 24 spot. That might be like a 15 or like a 14 because they don't have the offense to beat Purdue. Like let's just align on that now. Like they have the defense to potentially beat Purdue, but they don't have the offense to keep up with Purdue. So I'm saying they go 4-1, including two really good wins. We're going to start talking about an Iowa State team that offense does look pretty good because they've beat those defensive teams. What are your thoughts?
They're undefeated. They're
Yep.
16th in the AP poll, so they're gonna be something people continue to talk about. I think if this scenario that you just laid out is there, another important thing is that the AP is even higher on Creighton than I am.
I don't have Creighton.
That's a pretty quality win. If they can knock off a Creighton team that looks good. So yeah, I mean that's probably a top 10 team for DVD. And it's all about how they play those games, right? Like show me how that actually works, because that's what's going to translate to the tournament. I don't think they're going to have a lot of trouble with anybody in the Big 12 outside of Arizona.
Houston.
Will they have trouble with Houston? It's a good matchup for them.
It is a good matchup. I mean, they played them tough both games last year. It's a good point. Houston, obviously, they're probably going to be a Final Four team. But if Iowa State goes into, is it at Houston this year? Let me look. No,
yeah,
it's at Iowa State. I mean,
does that matter? Are there any students at Iowa State, or is it like a male school?
Don't show this to Brittany, please. Yeah,
that's the Panthers, right? Iowa State.
Move on before it goes off the rails, please.
Okay, let's talk a little SEC. I know you've got some thoughts there, so let me kind of set you up and ask you about Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Ole Miss ahead of Tennessee is the one that really stuck out to me in your rankings.
Yeah,
I care less about Gonzaga for all the reasons we normally talk about with Gonzaga, but I feel like Ole Miss hasn't really played anybody outside of one really important game. Is this for real? Is this the real Ole Miss, or is this gonna fall back in the SEC once we start playing games against good opponents?
So I'll start with the Ole Miss question. I like Ole Miss because of they're taking care of the stuff that winners take care of. Defensive rebounds, 33rd, right? Scoring offense, they're 10th. They're 29th in blocks per game. They're 41st in fast break points. They're 60th in effective field goal percentage. They're 27th in free throw percentage. It's the intangibles that they're taking care of, Rick, and albeit against weak-ish opponents, but they feel like they're a pretty well-tuned up machine going into a pretty tough SEC schedule. So I'm a little bit lower on Tennessee, and I'm a little bit lower on the SEC in general this year. And to me, the SEC feels wide open. It's similar to the discussion that you had last week about Kentucky, where it's like you look at kind of a falling SEC, and we're starting to question like who has the chance to take it this year. And you look at the teams, and Ole Miss stands out to me as a team that plays a pretty good brand of basketball. Really tough, gritty defense, and dynamic on the fast break and on offense. And to me, that feels like a team that can win the SEC. Obviously, they need to prove it. I'm just looking up their schedule. They need to prove it against some tougher opponents. I mean, obviously, the Memphis win is really good. They got St. John's coming up on December 6th. And then they have a really good matchup, in my opinion, coming up against Iowa, where we continue to talk about Iowa as one of the better defensive teams in the nation. And you go out and you put a 20-point whooping on Iowa, all of a sudden you have a pretty good win because Iowa's a pretty guaranteed tournament team like Memphis is. So I'm probably overvaluing them a little bit, Rick. But to me, in a wide open SEC, they're accurately ranked from my perspective. What about you?
I'm torn, right? We talk
Yeah.
about scheduling
Yep.
so much and how important scheduling is. And there's two schools of thought, right?
Yep.
You either beat the shit out of little schools or you schedule hard. And
Yep.
Ole Miss has chosen to kind of toe the line.
In the middle a little, right? Yeah.
Southeastern Louisiana, we have at 264. Cal State Bakersfield, we have 259. These aren't bad teams. These are atrocious teams
That they're whooping.
But you should, right? And so I think what
Correct.
I'm struggling with Ole Miss is, yes, their peripheral stats are what you want to see, and their peripheral stats are really, really good.
Correct.
But dunking on a team of me is not impressive to me.
Fair.
You know, assisting on 80% of your points when you're playing teams that don't have a 6'6" center is not impressive to me. So I'm looking at this game against Iowa on Tuesday, and this is a huge game.
Yeah.
The thing that's kind of stuck for me is they did beat a good Memphis team, and they did it doing all the things you're talking about. They do well. I don't know if it's enough. If you play, Miami's awful, right? They have a game against St. John's in December. Other than that, they got nothing till their SEC. NC State, I guess.
NC State, NC State's a decent.
Is what they're doing now, even in the Memphis game, is it going to translate to real teams? Because they had Memphis on the ropes early, if I'm remembering correctly, and then kind of just coasted in the second half.
Yep.
That's not going to work, right?
No,
so are they capable of beating a real team by 20? Are they capable of taking an Iowa, taking a NC State, even the bottom of the SEC, right? Oklahoma. God, that's about the list of how the SEC is.
Yeah, right.
Texas.
I don't know. This feels.
Which team are they?
Yeah, and it feels very similar to the discussion and the concern that I brought up with Kentucky a few weeks ago. So maybe this is good for us to talk about, where I was like, yeah, Kentucky is playing, a California School for the Blind. And you're like, well, they're winning by 20. So they're beating the crap out of these teams. They're supposed to beat the crap. Now, obviously, the Kentucky argument didn't age very well for either of us. But to me, it feels like they're doing what they need to, and they're gelling at the time they need to. So, albeit that they're playing these crappy teams, they slipped up against Austin Peay. Austin Peay doesn't look that bad, but it feels like they're gelling at the right time going into SEC play. I got my eye on the Iowa game. I got my eye on the St. John's game. They go 2-0 in those two games. Not only is St. John's well out of our top 25, but Mississippi is going to come up pretty drastically, right? I'm overvaluing them, I think, at quickly. I have them at 9. You have them valued probably pretty accurately about 20. So right in the middle, there's 15. I think to me that feels right heading into a couple of really good games. Now, I'm going to jump in and continue our conversation about the SEC. And man, does the SEC look bad or what, dude? Like, I don't know if it's because they graduated arguably one of the best classes in recent years, or if it's because other conferences, both from a freshman and transfer portal perspective, recruited better. Like, it feels very weird, but like, it feels like our Auburn, Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Texas, and A&M all suck. Like, it feels like it. I'm probably being a little harsh on Florida a little bit, I would say. Tennessee, like, we have Tennessee at 10. They don't feel like the Tennessee of last year, where you look at their statistics in SEC play and they're number 2 defense in the nation. The only good teams, in my opinion, are Bama, Georgia, Mizzou, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt. And like, now you look at the SEC and it feels like it's wide open. Like, okay, Bama at 9 is probably our best team, right? But last year at this time, Rick, we had 3 SEC teams in the top 5. There's no SEC teams in the top 5. So I'm going to ask a tough question, and I want to get your thoughts. The top 2 teams, it's more of a statement. The top 2 teams in the Big 12, Arizona and Houston, would wipe the floor with any SEC team this year. Arizona and Houston. Give me one SEC team that's beating Arizona and Houston.
There is no SEC team that's beating Arizona and Houston.
Or, you're going to say or.
Alabama can beat Houston.
Okay.
Alabama can beat Houston, but I think your point is valid and stands.
Yep.
We think Arizona is the best team. We're split a little bit at the top. Arizona's a top 2 team in the country.
Agreed.
Alabama doesn't match up great with Arizona. I do think Alabama can play the kind of game they played against St. John's stylistically.
Yeah.
A game they almost blew, right? But I think that type of Alabama approach, the game they played against Illinois, kind of similar. Runaway offense and just not playing defense. I think that might work against Houston. But I think your point is fair. And as you work your way down the SEC, both those teams are better than Tennessee. Both those teams are better than Georgia. I don't think Vanderbilt can slow down either one of those games enough to win those. Maybe make it interesting.
Yeah.
The one other one I think I'd call out would be Mizzou.
I like Mizzou a lot.
I think Mizzou matches up with Arizona really, really well.
I like that.
I have to stop short of saying they can beat Arizona. I think Arizona is a similar brand of basketball. They do it better.
Yeah.
But I think even though we have Mizzou behind these other SEC teams, I think Mizzou, if you told me one of these teams beat both Arizona and Houston, my pick would be Mizzou.
Yeah.
Just for the way they are able to control the movement of the basketball. I think that's what you need for these Big 12 teams.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see that reflected in Big 12 play. I think there's going to be a Big 12 team that shows up and surprises us. And kind of, we've been down on the Big 12 and saying that they're not as good as they were. And all it really takes is a hot run, right? And I'm looking down at like a Kansas State, like a K-State, who could get hot at the right time.
They won 9 straight last year in Big 12 play. Yep.
Take control of this conference, right? You catch people on short weeks or letdown spots, and Arizona is my best team in the country. Houston is right there. So I'm not saying K-State jumps up into our top 5 here, but I think the blueprint is out there for how to beat these teams. And Arizona, obviously better year over year. I think we'd both make an argument Houston is worse than last year. Not bad, but worse than last year.
Great.
And they're susceptible. But as far as the SEC is concerned, I'm kind of with you. There's an elite level up top. Last year was insane. Last year was such a crazy year.
Yeah.
Having 5-6 teams in our top 25 is really good. There's 300 basketball teams. But I think you're kind of looking at what the SEC has to offer. I'm not entirely sure that anybody from further down the board is going to make a splash. We think Auburn sucks. Florida's got all kinds of issues.
A ton of issues.
Oklahoma's not going to do shit. Texas isn't going to do anything.
Arkansas is outside our top 25 now. Like
and we liked Arkansas, right? And we were wrong. Like LSU is undefeated, and I have LSU so far down my board.
Yeah,
because I don't believe it.
Yeah,
right? So I think like kind of what we see here is the SEC. So I can't wait for 3 weeks from now to be totally wrong about that. But
yeah, well, I want to keep the conversation on SEC for a second. So before I get into Kentucky, why don't you take me into your I like what you have called out on Vandy. I want you to talk on Vandy a little bit.
Yeah, I'm planting the flag. Planting the flag. Not a crazy flag. We've been pretty high on Vandy. We've talked about them a lot.
Yep.
Vandy's going the second weekend of the tournament. I think this team is built well for tournament play. They're going to get in. The question is where.
Right.
We have them at 12. Right. That's a 3 seed.
Yeah.
That is probably aggressive, but they have that kind of upside.
Yeah.
But like Vandy's going to be like that 5 seed and everyone picks the 12 because the 12 always upsets the 5 and Vandy will like win by 30 against some trash ass play-in school.
Yep.
So I like Vandy to win their first 2 games of the tournament and at least make some noise. I think they're going to be one of those teams everybody's hopping on, feeling good about. Quasi Cinderella, not a crazy run, but like, I haven't seen a Vandy game all year. I'm gonna cheer for Vandy. So
agreed. And I mean,
I got it in there.
They are beating the brakes off of teams. I mean, 40-point win versus Lipscomb, 12-point win UCF, 30-point win Eastern Kentucky, 40-point win Arkansas Pine Bluff, 40-point win Texas Southern. So again, we're getting into the scheduling conversation.
Pine Bluff is bad though.
Bad, really, really, really bad. But we're talking about scheduling a little bit. Yeah, they could do a little bit better job. SMU 12-3, Memphis 12-17, really good Wake Forest team on the 21st of December. And then you get into SEC play and you got South Carolina tune-up on January 3rd. Then you got Bama knocking on the door on 1-7 at Vandy, which I believe Vandy, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, actually smacked Bama up a little bit. And then you got LSU and Texas, which they should win both those games. So we might be talking about a Vanderbilt team that if they run the gauntlet non-con and then get into SEC play and start upsetting some of these Bamas and, Floridas, we're going to talk about a top 8 Vanderbilt team. And they look good going into it, right? So, I really like the Vanderbilt call out, man. And, they're just beating the shit out of teams right now. So,
and starting to get recognized nationally for it.
So where are they at in the AP?
Unranked, 57 vote points.
Yikes!
They're,
I mean, that's
20. They're 28.
That feels like feels like a trap a little bit. Like you're telling me that there's 56 better teams than Vanderbilt in the nation.
No. 57 vote points. They're 28th. 28th.
Oh, got you. Okay, I don't know shit about the AP, so I'm not surprised that it's not.
Well, we try not to talk about it on this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm not surprised that I don't know. Now I'm gonna get into another SEC team here. And you obviously see it in my notes, but for me, like I just talked about how the SEC looks weaker, and to me, it's like pride, bro. Like I don't know if it's just. It doesn't feel like coaching. It feels like the players that are playing in the SEC this year almost don't want it. And that's more of a, right. It's that NIL shit. And it I don't know if pride's the right word. Obviously we'll get into on notice a little bit later, but Kentucky is very disappointing. I moved them to 31 in my rankings. I'm probably going to drop them more. I don't know where they're at in yours, but I think, overall for DBD, they're at 32 now. And I think that's 30. And I think that's about accurate, right? Because Michigan State beat the ever-loving crap out of Kentucky. And it's both a testament to Michigan State, rightfully ranked at 6th, up 11 spots. I think that's perfect for them. And also just effort from the Kentucky side, right? I watched a player, it was number 4, I don't know what his name is, down 13 and a half after a Michigan State made shot, dribbles straight down the court and jacks up a 30-foot step back 3 with 30 seconds remaining on the shot clock. For our new viewers, there is a 35-second shot clock. That means within 5 seconds, he didn't pass the ball. Michigan State scored. He shot a 30-foot step back 3. And to me, that doesn't scream poor coaching because in certain instances in that game, I saw them running their sets and it felt like they were well gelled. To me, that screams players that are not bought in, which is a direct conflict with the way they were last year. Out rebounded by 11. 55% of their field goal attempts versus Michigan State were threes, and they shot 7 for 30. 13 assists to 7 turnovers compared to Michigan State's 25 assists to 12 turnovers. Michigan State's a good team. Kentucky's a bad team. 25 assists, 12 turnovers, 13 to 7. Yeah, 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. I don't care. There's too much ISO ball. There's no defense. They allowed 50% from the field and 50% from 3. They lost by 20 points, Rick, and Michigan State shot 10 free throw attempts. Could you imagine if Michigan State shot 20 free throw attempts, how bad this game would have been? It would have been a 30-point loss for Kentucky. So they don't have pride. They don't have effort. And It's a bummer to see because I like Mark Pope as a coach, but these players are just not bought in at all. And, pride for me is what it boils down to. So just very disappointed in Kentucky, Rick.
So let me lay this out.
Yeah.
They were held to 28 first half points by Nichols. They beat Valpo. Who cares? They lose to arguably one of their biggest rivals in basketball. They beat Eastern Illinois. Who cares? Tony Romo, shout out.
Yep.
Lose the game in Michigan State. Beat
Yep.
Loyola Maryland. Okay. They're going to beat Tennessee Tech. I feel pretty comfortable with that. North Carolina, Gonzaga, the bye week, Indiana, St. John's, and then pretty much into their SEC schedule. I'm concerned by their inability to play consistent basketball. I think you hit the nail on the head. They're undisciplined. And I know you're a coach guy. I didn't play college sports, so I never put much stock in the coach.
Yeah.
I know their scheme. Basketball is not football. It's easier to be an individual contributor, but the scheme matters more. I put this squarely on coaching.
You do. Okay.
Your job at a school like Kentucky is to turn over talented individual players, get them to play well enough together for 1 year before they all leave. That is the job. So any failure in that, to me, is a failure in doing that job.
That's fair.
And Kentucky is probably going to finish top 5 in the SEC. I don't think that's like too big of a stretch. But when you're Kentucky, when you're Kansas, when you're North Carolina, when you're Duke, you turn elite level high school players who have never played with a good player or against a good player in their entire life into conference championship level teams. So an inability to do that from a discipline standpoint is not reflective of these 18-year-old kids who have never been told no. It's reflective of the coach to me.
Yeah, but how does a coach stop that possession where
It's your job. It's your job.
But my thing is, if you're screaming a set from the sideline, right, Rick? Like if you're, you know what I mean? Like so, yeah. Like more obviously, and I think he took responsibility after the loss. Obviously, like a good coach does. I think, but this is a Kentucky team that I don't know who they graduated. You can keep me honest. They're not returning everybody, but they're returning some resemblance of a core. And you have mostly the same scheme. You have mostly the same coaching staff. To me, there needs to be player discipline, and there needs to be some accountability put on the players, because it's not like Pope went into this game ungame planned. I'm sure he game planned for Michigan State, and partly it's his fault. He probably could have taken more timeouts. He probably could have calmed his team down. He probably could have worked on a freaking press break. So to your point, yes, there needed to be some improvement there. But
bro, I forgot the baby deer. I forgot the baby deer is on this team.
Yeah, see, they took in Quintons from Arizona State. They started losing. They're 0-2 against AP top 25s, 0-2 against the USA poll. It's just the team feels like a mess. And yes, there needs to be some responsibility put on the coaching, but the players lack discipline, because when you look at the top 6 SEC teams right now, 7, Georgia, Mizzou, LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, right? They have great coaching, but the players are disciplined. Here's your scheme, top starting 5. Go do this, and if you don't do it, I'm gonna sub you out. And it felt like they were rotating players versus Michigan State, but it didn't matter because no one was bought in slots 1 through 8. So I agree with you. There needs, the coaching needs to improve, but you went like this when I started talking about Kentucky. What does that mean?
What is that money, baby? I mean, so they returned 30% of their scoring from last year, 30% of their minutes from last year. The kid you were talking about chucked that ball up. That's Jelivic. He's a professional basketball player from Croatia or Serbia or wherever the hell he's from. Yeah. This team needs to be better than they are for them. I think there's like $80 million in NIL shit on this roster.
Yeah. that we know of.
22 million dollars, yeah, on the books, right? So like, and these kids are all there. You don't go to Kentucky to play college basketball. You go to
No.
Kentucky to go to the NBA.
Yeah.
And God, you got to show up. I'm going to place the blame on the coaching.
Yeah, fair.
But I mean, if you want to be an NBA player, you go to Rutgers and you sit and don't play there. You know,
like the two that did last year. Yeah.
I don't. I expect more from
fair.
a blue blood program, right? And we talk a lot about how that is meaningless.
Yeah,
but it does mean something.
Yeah,
and for me, it starts with the coaching. It can end with the players, right? That's fine with me. But they're kids. Every single freshman on this team, I mean, they can barely tie their own shoes at this point.
Yeah,
Like,
agreed.
Some of them are probably 17 years old and like legitimately have never had to do anything but play basketball.
Agreed.
And to me, that means you better be damn good at basketball. And I don't care about scheme. I don't care about the coach, right? Your job is to play basketball. Part of that is listening to your coach. So either he doesn't command the room like we think, or he's not a disciplinarian and he has a bunch of freshmen running around doing whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
I struggle to not reflect it on the coaching staff, which might be unfair, but I feel like you have all the resources in the world.
Yeah, I get where you're coming. Yeah, I guess, we'll see. I'm going to look at Kentucky's schedule. And to me, like after that beatdown, what I'm expecting from the coach is to them come out firing against UNC, to them come out firing against Gonzaga. If they come out flat against UNC and flat against Gonzaga, you're right. It's the coaching because it doesn't have them prepared. But if they come out firing on all cylinders against two DBD, AP, US top 25 teams, I'll know that game was on the players. So I'm looking at those two to see what happens.
You got anything else for top 25? I see one line here. I don't want to undercut you.
Well, I want you to go. It looks like you might have a nice little call out because it looks like we're going Big 12 next. So do you want to go with your call out or do you want me to start?
I'll be quick with mine. Kansas might miss the tournament. Kansas is in a downward trajectory here. And I don't think it's crazy to say that Kansas could be the 69th best team in the country come March. It's not a rebuild, it's a reload. They are not the same team. You can make the same coaching argument with Kansas too, but this team is not what we thought they were.
And I thought they were going to take Duke, dude. Like they looked for the first half, they looked really good against Duke. They made Boozer uncomfortable. They made him take tough shots. And then like halftime hit. And all of a sudden Duke was like, we forgot who we were. Like, my bad. Yeah. Let me just go ahead and close this out. And they won by 14.
Yeah, I would not have wanted to be in that locker room at halftime.
No. Where do we have them ranked? I'm curious. Where do I have Kansas? I have them 63.
Right. And that's right there, right?
Yeah. You might have them lower than that, actually.
I have Kansas at 49 currently.
49. Okay. So I'm a little bit down on them. But to me, that just feels right. Sticking with the Big 12, last one on the top 25 is who's beating Arizona? I mean, this is so impressive, dude. Like, we talk about either you have to schedule hard and beat those teams, or schedule poorly and beat the crap out of those teams, and they're doing both. They have now beat Florida. They have now beat UCLA. They have now beat UConn, and then smoked the crap out of Arizona, NAU, and Utah Tech. They have Auburn upcoming. They have Bama upcoming, and then a pretty nice game against San Diego State. I mean, the win against UConn is not indicative of how well they played that game. They won that game by 4 points. They freaking dominated UConn. 46% overall field goal versus a consensus top 10 defense. 42 in the paint, 42 points in the paint versus 24 points in the paint. 16 personal fouls, clean defense across the board. They out-rebounded UConn by 20. And this is a team who lives on the offensive glass, like we talked about last week in our prep for the BYU game. They only allowed 4 offensive boards. I don't think in recent history, Rick, like I'm probably being a little too high on them, but I don't think in recent history we've seen a more impressive start to the season than what we've seen out of this Arizona team. And I think it's time to have a conversation about Koa Pete for player of the year. He is averaging 16, 12, and 3 on 50% field goal percentage. 16 points and 12 rebounds for a freshman. I mean, I don't know what else to say, dude. This team is so
I think the more
impressive.
impressive thing with Pete is he's opening up the offense for everybody else. Jaden Bradley might have his best season of all time just because everything is open. All he does is take open shots constantly. So it feels sustainable. It
Yeah.
feels really sustainable for Arizona. And we talked a little bit about how the Big 12 doesn't look great. So if they can't get stopped by good teams early, they're not going to get stopped by bad teams late.
I mean,
So
he played like crap against UCLA. Pete had 7 points and 4 rebounds in 21 minutes, and they beat UCLA by 4 because other guys step up. Del Orso had 20, Bradley had 15, Krivas had 10. It's just this team is so well put together and so impressive that like I don't know who's beating them, man. And we talk about coaching, and I alluded to Tommy Lloyd, you know, in our game of the week prep for the Arizona and Florida game. And this coach, man, he has this team so gelled, and he has this team making limited mistakes. And this brand of basketball, to your point, is repeatable, and they're repeating it even when their best player has an off game against UCLA. I mean, wow, man, what a phenomenal team to watch. And this to me is like the brand of basketball that I want to see. So, man, shout out to U of A. What a phenomenal start to the season.
yeah, they look fantastic. Some other teams that look fantastic.
Oh, look at that logo, man. Oh, I love that.
The Billies. The Billies are sick.
They're so sick, dude.
Yeah. So talk to me about Nebraska. We've touched on the Big Ten. What do you see in Nebraska that has them moving up your board?
Yeah, quietly started the season 5-0 with back-to-back wins over tourney teams in Oklahoma and New Mexico. Again, Oklahoma maybe we're still trying to figure out, but they feel like a decent SEC team. It's their brand of basketball, dude. 6th in the nation in assist to turnover ratio, 15 in assists, 27th in effective field goal percentage, and 50th in three-point percentage. To top that with 55th in the nation in field goal defense and 8th in foul per games. But that's not what's exciting to watch about this Nebraska team. 4 guys are averaging double figures, 6 guys over 8 points per game, 8 guys in double digit minutes. And I'm talking like 17 minutes plus. I'm really, really interested to see the result of the Creighton game on 12-7. I don't know where the game is being played. You'll have to keep me honest. I would love to see Nebraska take that game against Creighton. And then, Wisconsin on 12-10, the 10th of December. That feels like a watch out game for Wisconsin, right? We just touched on them earlier. And this Nebraska team is humming. They play quality ball. They're well coached. They roll out 8 white dudes to sit in your face, sit in the paint, shoot threes, drive and dish. It feels like a really, really good brand of basketball. I really like the way Nebraska plays. It felt like they should have made the tournament last year. They didn't. That's okay. Watch out for Nebraska this season. They're trending up for me for sure.
That Creighton game is neutral site.
Site.
No, I misread. Sorry, that's at Nebraska.
So, pretty good chance to win that game, in my opinion. I think they snuck into our top 25 this week. Keep me honest. They did not sneak in yet, and that's okay. But they're humming. They're
right
26th. Yep, 26th. I'm really high on them. I have them at 17. That feels really good to me. So yeah, go Nebraska, man.
The Billies of St. Louis, the Billikens are 5-0. They have a really, really impressive win over GCU, who is a supposed powerhouse out west. They're not as good as they have been, but still a quality win there for the Billies. They are blowing out all the bad teams on their schedule. Their average margin of victory is like 29 points.
13th in the nation in scoring offense, by the way, 98 points a game.
Yeah, so expected against bad teams, but I mean, you gotta beat the teams, right? So they got a game coming up against the Dons that I think will kind of inform more where they are. But I thought the Purdue Fort Wayne game last night was also going to be a pretty good test for them, and they won by 31. So keep your eyes on the Billies. They're sitting like 70-ish. I think I have them at 71. Yeah, you've got them at 78. So this is a bubble team for us right now. And if they continue to play with the offensive explosiveness that they have been, they're going to be there when it matters. We've talked about the A10. The A10 is wide open.
Yep.
So watch out for the Billies.
Yeah, great call out. I mean, A10 has got some great basketball this year in general, and I think St. Louis is depicting kind of the pinnacle of that. You know, you got Davidson resurgent season, George Mason obviously always good, George Washington, Bonnie's, Richmond Spiders, Dayton starting to put it together. So great basketball in the A10, and I think you and I are both agreeing. I have George Mason winning it, but I would not be shocked if St. Louis took both the regular season and the A10 conference championship.
Yeah, I have the Bonnies slotted right now, but man, it's close.
Very close. They look really, really good. Great call out. Taking us to trending down for me. I'm going to keep it in the SEC, man. I know it feels like I'm picking on the SEC, but again, we go back to pride and we go back to discipline. And Mississippi State looks awful. I mean, this was a team that last year you and I had in the top 25 pretty much all season. And the lack of pride on this team, in my opinion, is only exceeded by Kentucky. I'm going to take shots at Kentucky all day. This is their worst start, 2-3, since the 2015-2016 season. And I just did a little bit of research based on last year. This is one of the worst starts for a week 1 DBD top 25 team since we started the show last year. 3 straight losses. 16-point loss versus Iowa State, 21-point loss versus Kansas State, 2-point loss from New Mexico State. And the only reason it isn't 4 straight is because they have a 7-point win versus Southeastern Louisiana. Last year, Mississippi State was prided on their defense. They're 336 in scoring defense, 305th in 3-point defense, 258th in turnovers forced, and 270th in fouls per game. They have 0, Rick, and I mean fucking 0 interior presence. They let up 56 points in the paint versus Iowa State, 42 to Kansas State, 32 to New Mexico. And then we start talking about discipline, effort, and pride. This is the exact opposite of what we're seeing Mississippi State exhibit. And I am just so disappointed in this team because I had them at 15 to start the season for me. And we talk about the SEC being bad, and I think that is proven by how horrible Mississippi State has been this year. So very disappointed in this team.
Ohio State is 5-0. I'm worried about Ohio State. They are winning the games they're supposed to win. They're winning by decent margin. The reason they're on this list for me is after we filmed last Saturday, I was sitting on Sunday and I watched the Notre Dame Ohio State game. And Ohio State really struggled to put away Notre Dame. They had to pull away at the very end. They played them so close, and we are not particularly high on Notre Dame. Notre Dame is not a great basketball team. The things that I saw that worried me were shot selection. It was passing. And those are the things that you can do against a bad team and win. Ohio State is on notice for me because if you have those same flaws in the Big Ten schedule, you're cooked. You are done. And I'm worried about it because they will drag down the quality of wins for every other Big Ten school. So I just need Ohio State to button it up a little bit, work on mechanics. Let's move the ball around cleanly, and let's not take shitty shots, huh? like off your back foot as you're turning. If there's 4 seconds on the shot clock, we don't have to do like a spinning fadeaway. It's just unnecessary. So okay, undefeated.
Yep.
Keep winning games.
Yep.
Button up the stuff we know you can. Ohio State's a good basketball team.
1-point win versus Notre Dame is concerning. And you look at their schedule, right? And a couple traps, in my opinion. Mount St. Mary's, you think, pushover. Nope. That is not a pushover team. That is a team that made the tournament in the last 5 years. Careful. Pitt, who you rightfully called out as a resurgent ACC team. Watch out for Pitt. Northwestern, bottom half of the Big Ten, still not horrible. And then Illinois on December 9th. That is.
And look who they pulled for the ACC Big Ten Challenge. They got North Carolina.
Yeah, and that's, you and I are kind of teetering on North Carolina a bit. I think if they come out and beat North Carolina, good on Ohio State for sure. I'm just concerned about the 5 games, because they got West Virginia on 12-13 as well. That's a bit scary because West Virginia isn't a bad team. They're playing teams very tough. Great call out. Need to see a better brand.
All right. So, returning viewers, we normally give you a blockbuster game of the week. We are trying to stay on Saturdays so you can go from our show into the slate. So not all of them are going to be great games. But what I want you to do is look at this one and think about the bubble. Think about the teams that are going to barely make the tournament. These are the teams most people get all excited about at the end of the year, right? Ooh, are they going to get in? Are they going to get in? This is that game. And this is why this is our game of the week. This is a colossal game for both of these teams for March. Providence and Penn State, technically neutral site. This is right in the backyard for Providence. This is at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. I put the rankings on there to drive this point home. This is not BYU UConn, okay? These are 2 teams that are going to be in the conversation in March, and they match up really, really well together. So it is game of the week because this is one you should watch. If you are a basketball fan, this is going to be a fun one. Justin, what do you have on Provi and Penn State?
Yeah. I'll start. I still don't know who I'm picking. I've teetered back and forth between picking Penn State and Providence for some reason. I still can't figure it out. So starting with Provi, I'm all for mid-majors if you can count Provi as a mid-major. I mean, Big East has got some pretty good basketball, beating up on weak Power 4 teams. This one might be tough, dude. This one might be tough. I mean, I don't like the losses to Virginia Tech and Colorado, but I do like the beatdowns of Holy Cross, Penn, and New Hampshire. I think to me, and I don't want to steal the thunder, is the lack of defense. I think from the Providence standpoint is what's concerning. 336 in scoring defense, 305th in 3-point percentage defense, and 270th in fouls per game is concerning against a Big Ten team that likes to play tough and gritty. I think, the keys for me for Providence is going to be top 10 scoring offense and balance. So they're number 10 in scoring offense, 43rd in free throws made per game. I really like that because it shows aggression, right? They have 3 guys they have 6 guys over 10 points per game, including 3 over 15 points per game. So when you start talking about throwing different looks and making different guys beat you, I think Providence can do that. And what I want to see out of them is continuing to limit second chances and get out in transition. They're 41st in fast break points. That's awesome. And 33rd in defensive rebounds. So you get the ball down, outlet it quick. You can expose a pretty weak Penn State defense. You have to wear them down. Last tidbit on Provi before I turn it to you is don't freaking shoot threes. Please don't shoot threes. You're 183rd in 3-point percentage versus a decent Penn State 3-point defense. They're not horrible. They're not great. So as long as you get downhill, get out in transition, I like the chances for Providence. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, both these teams shoot phenomenally from 2. Great shot selection, fantastic spacing.
Yeah.
But they don't really like to play defense much. They just kind of efficient on the offensive side of the court, and then they run back to the other side and wait to go on offense again.
Agreed.
I'm fine with that. I think it's going to be a very entertaining one. We know
Yeah.
basketball is a game of runs, and I think the runs will determine this one.
Yeah.
Last team to get hot, I think is going to win it going away. So Penn State didn't bring much back from last year, and that's a huge plus.
Yeah.
Penn
Agreed.
State has
Awful.
the distinction of being like the last Big Ten team to not make the tournament because they
Yeah.
went back to inviting everybody again. Penn State was horrific last year,
Ass.
and they're a little bit better, and they're barely beating bad teams instead of losing to them like they did last year. So
Agreed.
what this is going to come down to for me is like heart, which feels stupid, but Providence has like this monkey on their back. They cannot win Mohegan Sun. And it's like a thing. All the Providence blogs are writing about it, and it's like the players are in on it. And so for me, I think Penn State is going to show up. I think they're going to play well enough. Mingo's going to take way too many threes that he shouldn't take. He just chucks the ball all over the place. But I like Penn State to come out with a stabilizing force and be up at the half. Unfortunately for them, I think that means they lose this game. I think that's going to give Providence the fire that they need coming out of the second half to improve their already efficient shot selection
Great.
and create offense in a way that Penn State won't be able to catch up to.
Yeah.
So I like Providence to win this game. I like Penn State to cover. I think like 2 3-point win for Provi here is probably the answer. But what I'll be looking for from these teams is the discipline. Can you continue running your efficient offense against another team that runs a very similar style? They're both going to look to control clock. They're both going to look to slow this game down. Total at 163.5 feels a little high. I think this is going to be more grindy. And I think even in a loss, these teams can survive. I like both these teams to make the tournament.
Both the teams to make the tournament. That's a hell of a call out for the Big East. I mean, Big Ten, I could see Penn State having a resurgent season. But whew, probably out of the Big East. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Okay. Well, I think, for me, I'm what Providence does well, Penn State doesn't. Like Penn State, 4-point win versus Harvard is scary. Like Harvard's not a great team. And Harvard's a much worse team than Providence, right? And you let Harvard put up 53% field goal and 45% from the three. And opposite of Providence, who has depth, who has multiple double-digit minutes, who has multiple double-digit scorers. You only have 3 guys in double figures. I mean, they are shooting above 50% from the field, which is great. But they just have no depth, it feels like. And that to me, like putting this game aside, when you talk about Penn State and the Big Ten play, that's concerning because you have to have depth. And, again, you said it. They don't play defense. They're 306. They're like dead last in blocks, 263rd in field goal defense, and 135 in turnovers. So, the Penn State has to come out and clean up the offensive glass. They are ranked 326th in defensive rebounds per game, which is a significant issue for an aggressive Providence team on the boards that has a chip on their shoulder. You're dead last in the Big Ten. You can't beat a Providence team if you're going to be that horrible. You have to find a way to be aggressive and get to the line. Providence is letting up 20 fouls per game, but the problem is Penn State isn't aggressive and they rely and shrink back to the 3-point line far too often because they're 276th in free throws attempted. You have to be aggressive and you have to get to the basket against a Providence team who does foul. Stop shooting threes, same thing as Providence. So, for me, this screams a game that Providence should win. I am going to take Providence. Like I said, I've teetered back and forth. I think Providence comes out and I think they hit him in the mouth. I don't know if they're necessarily up at halftime, but I think they come out and they stretch a lead early, 8 to 10 point lead in the first half that ends up being whittled down to a couple of points going into halftime. And then I think they come out in the second half and I think they put their foot on their neck. Give me a 5-6 point win by Providence. And actually, like you, I'm going to take the under. I think it will be a knockdown, grind out game. But I think Providence has the keys due to their balance to get this game done. So give me Providence Friars.
And we had to do this. There's something going on.
That sounded crazy. Don't worry, a bird hit my window earlier, so don't feel too bad.
Anyway, I had to get you a nationally televised game. This one is on True TV. So run to your TV, figure out what channel that is, and lock that in. If you're looking for a B-side game, the Lancaster Bible College Chargers are playing LaSalle this afternoon as well. That'll be a great second screen if you want to see LaSalle struggle to put away a Bible college. This game is up on Chainlink Game of the Week, lit up in purple. Make sure you make your picks there. Let us know in the comments. Nobody ever does. Let us know in the comments who you picking in Game of the Week. But this should be a good one. I'm excited for this. What else we got? I think that's about it. You have any last minute call outs for top 25 or otherwise?
No last minute calls. A couple of trap games I think coming up in the schedule this next week. Seton Hall, NC State. Watch out for Seton Hall coming out and grabbing one, upsetting NC State. Auburn, Oregon. That should be a really, really tough one. Auburn visiting Oregon on the 24th. That's also Monday. Gonzaga, Alabama. Whew. Oh, that's in Tuscaloosa. No, it's not. That is in Vegas. I apologize. That is going to be an absolute barn burner. Those are 3 games for me to watch. And then I have a really good one for us to watch on Thursday, November 27th. UNC, Michigan State. That's going to tell me a lot about Michigan State. If Michigan State comes out and buries UNC like they just did to Kentucky, we are talking about a Michigan State team that I'm personally going to put in my top 5. So really, really good slate of basketball this week. And obviously happy Thanksgiving for everybody.
Watch out in San Diego, TCU, Florida, Wisconsin, and Providence in the tournament out there.
Oh, that's a fun ball. Good 4-team slate there. Wow. Oh, I don't like Wisconsin playing Providence.
I don't like Wisconsin playing anybody.
Good episode, man. Can we get people to put the picks in the YouTube comments, Rick? For Christ's sakes. Can we incentivize them?
Nope.
God damn it.
Nope. I know where this is going. Enjoy the exemption tournaments. Enjoy Thanksgiving. We will be back here Saturday morning, bright and early. I think that's all we got as my camera goes out of focus again. Deadball dancing. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rick. He's Justin.
Great episode, fellas. We'll talk soon.
Peace.